Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us for another episode of Off the Hook with Matty D. You know, one of the reasons why I fly fish is to be able to get out and enjoy the waters. I find it calming, soothing. It allows me to get away from my daily struggles, and it also allows me just some time to think back and reflect. And one of the reasons why people fly fish is for the same things, also to connect with their friends and maybe their family. And one of the groups that really has gotten a hold of that to connect with others is our veterans. And that's where we go with today's show, Project Healing Waters. So let me bring in my special guest today, Tony Escalona from Project Healing Waters in Richmond. You're the program leader, Tony. First of all, thank you so much for joining us.
Hey, good morning, Matt. Thank you. Thank you for having us here and giving us the opportunity to tell the story about Project Healing Waters.
Tell us a little bit about your background. First of all, you are an Army veteran. You served for over 30 years.
That's correct, man. Thank you, and allowing me to come here and tell the story about Project Healing Waters. I'm a retired Command Sergeant Major. I served it 31 and a half years, like you said. I retired out of Fort Bliss, Texas. Mm-hmm. It's out in the desert. And as soon as I retired, I got back here to Virginia. I enjoyed this area, all the water here, and I love fishing, so I got back here. I started with Project Healing Waters in 2017, okay. And Project Healing Waters was an opportunity for me to continue learning about fly fishing. So it was a way to continue my recovery. It was the best choice I made. Mm-hmm. It was an opportunity for me to continue to share my passion with fly fishing with others, right. And so that's how I got started. It's a great program. We continue to do this program here in Virginia. It's a wonderful program.
There's so many questions, and let's start with some of the simple ones first. Project Healing Waters is open to any branch of service, any veteran. Is that correct?
That's correct, yeah.
Right.
In our program, we have all the branches represented.
Right. How many members do you have in your program right now?
Yeah, in our program, we have 31 members. That's participants and volunteers alike. And it's important that we continue to grow that because the suicide rate in 2020 was 18 veterans a day. So programs like Project Healing Waters will help curb that suicide rate. So it's important that we get the word out that our programs exist.
Let's talk a little bit about that. So veterans, and we have to do a lot more for veterans for sure, but they serve, maybe they're in Iraq, Afghanistan, wherever they may be stationed. Even if they're stationed here, they have a certain regimen. And they come back to what would be considered their normal life, and their structure is different. And sometimes, we were talking off air, they just isolate, and that's when the tailspin begins at that point.
Yeah, that's correct. They come home, and then, they just don't find the common stuff they're used to. So it's just different. We come back and things are just different. So when they're not around other veterans, and so programs like Project Healing Waters, we come back, right. You get around other veterans. So come to a session and see what we're about. When you come to a fly tying session, it's a lot more than just tying flies. You sit down. You're there with other veterans. You're talking with other veterans. There's a lot of laughing. There's a lot more going on than just tying flies.
So it's therapeutic in the fact that you're talking to your brothers,
yes,
from any service, and at that point, you kind of, the guard gets let down, and you're able to open up, and you start to develop those friendships that you may have had serving, now sitting over a fly vise or building a rod, because you do a lot of different things.
Absolutely. Camaraderie is there. Camaraderie just opens up. There's a lot of laughter, and with laughter is healing.
Right.
So, and like you said, we do a lot more than just fly tying. There's rod building. We teach you how to read the waters. We teach you about the insects. So in fly fishing, there's just so much about it. So again, come check out our sessions. There's just so much about our fly fishing sessions that happen with Project Healing Waters.
And so Project Healing Waters, the Richmond chapter, you are right local off of Newby's Bridge Road in Chesterfield County. How often do you meet?
So we meet every first Wednesday of the month, and we try to keep that first Wednesday of the month because it's easy to remember. So the first Wednesday of the month from 5 to 7 at 6221 Newby's Bridge Road in Chesterfield. DAV Chapter 50. It's 6221 Newby's Bridge Road in Chesterfield, Virginia.
Okay, we're gonna make sure we get that up there at the end as well. So, all right. So let's talk about the because you mentioned fly tying, and I think we have some pictures I want to bring up here. This is a look at some of the members of your group. You were saying this is after a great fly tying session, and you see men and women there just enjoying the day so far.
Yeah. So yeah, that session there, that was we tied the cicada fly, and that was probably one of our biggest fly tying sessions. And these guys here came in after we said we were going to tie this fly, and they're still going out fishing with this fly and having a lot of success with the fly because they were having a second emergence of this bug.
Right.
Catching bass and catching a lot of bass with it.
Having a lot of fun for sure.
Having a lot of fun.
So your members, and you also bring in a guest, because I was very fortunate, by the way. Thank you. About 2 years ago, I came in and we tied a salmon river pattern because with your group, you guys sometimes take some trips and you go to the Salmon River, you go to Oak Orchard, you go to streams here in Virginia. And I had a great time with your group. Great stories, great people, and we tied, I believe it was a scrambled egg pattern.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of fun. But so you sit down with the different members and you go through some fly tying. Do you need to have any knowledge about tying a fly at all?
No, absolutely not. Actually, in 2017, when I joined the program, I had never picked up a fly rod. And so we have volunteers that actually are volunteer there helping the new participant there. No experience is required. The volunteers are great at helping you walk through the program. So we have monitors set up, 2 monitors set up, and the small group instructions, the way we have it set up is to run step by step. So the instructor does a step, the volunteers go through, there's a volunteer helping them there. It's a step-by-step process. They'll walk through if you need help, but the participant ties the fly.
Right.
You know, it's his fly, he's tying it. If you need help, the volunteers will come through and they'll help you tie that fly. But it's a step-by-step process, small group instructions. It's the way most veterans are taught in the military. So they're very familiar. It's a very familiar grounds on how they're taught in the military.
And when they get to sit down and tie a fly, they sit down at the vise the first time, as you said, no experience needed at all here. What is the sense of accomplishment that you hear from the members when they finish tying that fly?
Oh, they are so happy. Yeah. Actually, when the very first fly, when they come in, we send them to what we call Woolly Booger Camp, which is the very first fly that all guys coming in, because that fly has 5 different things in there. They tie lead, they tie fur, they tie feathers, they wrap thread. So there's 5 different things that happen to that fly. So when they first come in, that's the first fly they're going to go to, and they'll go there. So we have them, and they'll walk through that fly very slow. But they are very proud of that fly. They'll hold that fly up. And they usually won't fish that fly, but some will. But that fly is the first fly they'll come in and they'll tie.
And do they need to have any equipment? Do they need to go out and buy a fly
No,
vise?
we provide everything for them. So, and that's with all sessions, to including rod building. And everything is provided to them, even when they come through all the sessions in the whole 9 yards. At the end of the sessions, at the end of rod building, they'll walk out of the rod building session with a rod and a reel, and that's theirs to keep the whole duration.
That's amazing. And we're going to get to some pictures of that too, because rod building fly tying is an art. Rod building is next level. It really is.
Yeah.
And also, it gives them, as you said, that structure. Follow step A to step B, like you said, what they're used to from being in the service. Yeah, pretty awesome stuff.
Yeah, it's really neat to tie that fly, build that rod, and so it all accumulates. So you take them and you teach them how to tie that fly. You teach them how to build that rod, and then we teach them classes on how to read the water, where to place that fly, how to cast that rod. And then we take them on fly fishing outings, and you pair them up with a volunteer. So that volunteer also teaches them how to mend that line. You cast that line, and then how to keep your fly in in that seam in the water, because we teach them where, foam, reading the water. Foam is home, rocks rock,
Right.
wood is good, and made in the shade. So you know those mantras.
And you know all the lines. That's fantastic.
So you know all those mantras, and so you say, okay, place your fly here. So there's a little bit of art to getting placing your fly
Sure.
here. So you get your fly there, you keep your fly there, and then you set that hook and you bring your fly in. So and then you land into that fly, landing that fish and fighting that fish. There's a little art to all that stuff.
There is, for
so
sure.
you're bringing that fly in, bringing that fish in. So that's what all that stuff, and it all ties together in a fish outing.
Right.
So that's what being successful. There's an art to all that stuff.
There is.
Yeah.
And when you get a group together like you have here in this picture, the main instructor that comes in to maybe show a fly, he's facing the class. They're asking questions as people ask me. They give kind of a background as to why this fly might be important, and what kind of fish you're going after. And it really is a little bit of a background. And usually the instructor, I know I tied one of my favorite flies based on what you were all going to be doing in a short time.
And so there you can see here, instructor in the front, the monitors, and the instructors, the participants in front, with the volunteers in back helping. And like you said, so what we use a hatch chart. So the hatch chart kind of tells us this month, this fly, why we chose that fly. And so the same thing, you chose the egg pattern fly because it's a fly that's successful for that time of the month, that time of the year.
Correct. Yep. Yeah. You kind of get into it there. And again, it's a rather large room at the DAV, and so therefore you can accommodate your 30 people, 31, and hopefully growing. That's the whole key, right?
The whole key is keep it growing.
Right. Outreach, growing. Keep that brotherhood of man and woman going here. So here's a guy, and I love this shot because it looks like I just finished my fly. He's very happy. There's a sense of accomplishment when you do that.
Yeah, there is. Yeah.
And that's what makes it great. So, and there's some veterans helping other veterans as well, looking over the shoulder. I see. I think that's in the blue shirt, leaning over. That might be Keith Barron.
Keith Barron's teaching over, telling him, hey, you got it. This has to go this way, or how do we do this here?
Right. So so not only do you have the instructors walking around, but you also have members helping members as well. Look at this guy. He's leading the class.
They're getting ready to teach them a knot. And so we taught them the 1620 knot, which is a knot pretty big in the Czech nymphing world. So we went over that knot.
So everything from the basics of not just fly tying, but tying knots, because as we all know, if your knot is weak, that fish is gone.
Absolutely.
And then walking around and doing some more fly tying.
Making sure that they're caught up with before you go to the next step.
Right.
So we try to keep everyone on the same steps before we move on to the next steps.
All right.
Here's a guy really happy with his fly.
I mean, I love that. Again, it's whatever pattern is there. There's a great shot. We'll take this full so we get a better shot there. Simple, looks like some sort of underwater because it's got a bead head. You also have some legs on there. Great little easy pattern, maybe for if you're doing some nymphing for maybe some trout, or maybe you're going for
this is the
bass.
Mossy Creek fly, and I forgot the zertle bug is what this fly is here.
And this was a pretty good class, the zertle bug.
The zertle bug, recently,
So
you guys are all happy with their flies.
And if you're going to go to Mossy, you better have the right flies because that is a technical river, where you've got to be good. You got to place it. You got to follow it along the moss line, as they will. That's
And this is the Woolly Booger camp here. These are the new guys here that came in. So we also have the guys from the STAR program come and join us from time to time, which is our polytrauma center. Okay. These guys come join us with the program as well. And so we used to have two programs, which was the STAR and our Richmond program, but we've combined those two programs together. So now it's one program.
Okay. So the STAR program is no longer there now.
It's one program. Okay. So we're combined.
Gotcha.
So,
okay. Yeah. And STAR stands for what?
It is a polytron. It's part of the polytrauma
Okay.
program there at the Richmond VA.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
I
Gotcha.
don't remember the acronym right off the
That's
bat.
okay.
Yeah,
That's fine. No problem.
should've
Didn't
written
mean
it
to stump you there,
Yeah.
Tony. All right, so we're going to get past our fly tying here. I mean, everybody getting their flies done, big smiles. Hopefully they will use these flies when you go out. But then you also, and women too are
Yeah, and
invited.
this is a recreational therapist from the Polytrauma Center who brings our veterans, and they work a lot of hours.
Yeah.
And yeah, she's been bringing them so much so she can tie a whip finish a lot better than a lot of our guys here.
In the whip finish, for those who don't know, of course, that is the knot that ties off the fly at the end, and then whether you use a dab of glue like I do or not to make sure it's sealed, because sometimes that whip finish is still not that good after 30 years of flying ties here. Veterans of all ages, too.
All ages, yeah. As a Vietnam veteran.
That was Vietnam?
Yeah, Vietnam era veteran. Well, we've got a few Vietnam era veterans in our program, so.
Very good. So continuing on here, there you go. There's from the STAR program.
From
You
our
said one of
STAR
your
program
therapists.
veterans, yeah. And these guys rotate through there very quickly. I mean, they're sometimes they're there for only a couple of weeks, and sometimes they're there for a little bit longer, depending how long they need to be there.
Most of the people who join your program, they live in the area.
They do, yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, we'll continue on real quick here because not only do we do fly tying, but I think the next thing's coming up here, you mentioned it, is rod building. And I think rod building is a special next level type of thing in fly fishing because it is a different thing to do. It takes a lot more skill. There's a lot of things, understanding the bend in the rod, the flex in the rod, where to place the guides.
Yeah.
You really have got to get into that. I'm just kind of rolling to that. There we go here.
So currently we have a rod building session going on now, and we've got maybe 2-3 sessions left before they complete their rods, before they put the epoxy on and everything else. And in this session, we have 2 guys building switch rods because they have shoulder injuries. And so with the switch rods, they don't have to do the complete cast.
Right.
So it's easier on their shoulders. They can just roll more the rolled.
So we can explain to people exactly. Switch rod is a longer rod, but it allows more flex so that the water helps the line load on the rod, and then you can roll it out. Versus maybe what people would see in if you saw the Netflix movie on Healing Waters, where they're overhand casting, what we call double hauling. That can really put a lot of strain on a shoulder.
Absolutely.
So that offers a little bit more of a kind of a relaxed type of fishing in that respect.
Easier cast on the shoulder.
Yeah. So a switch rod is about an 11-foot rod. It's a much longer rod.
Yes, absolutely. It's an 11-foot rod.
Yeah. So, all right, explain exactly what's going on here. What is this gentleman doing?
So this gentleman here, he's putting thread on his rod at this point here. So he's putting thread on his guides. He has guides which the line actually goes through from the reel to the tip of the line. So we got to put thread on the guides there to hold the guides on. And after he does that, we'll put epoxy that will hold those on there permanently on there.
And when they're building a rod, you're supplying the blanks, the pieces of graphite?
We do. We supply everything to them. So, and we help them determine, do they want to put the guides on top of the spine or on the bottom? And that you choose that based on, do you want strength or do you want accuracy? Because you have those 2 choices.
Right.
One's for accuracy and one's for strength. And we tell them, go for accuracy.
Always go for accuracy.
Go for accuracy.
Right, because you need to place the fly in the right area. You can play the fish a lot differently. You have the spindles as well, so that rod is rolling and they can apply.
And we use this machine here so that we can place the epoxy on there. You could use this as well to put the thread on there, but it just goes too fast for our guys. The level of experience. So we will only use this to put the epoxy on there, so put it on evenly.
So they're then wrapping the thread around the eyelets by hand by going around and around. Yeah. and doing it super tight. And they can choose their own colors. They can really
Absolutely.
customize the rods
Absolutely,
to
yeah,
how they
yeah.
want.
Yeah, and so a lot of veterans would do that thread patterns based on the ribbons, the awards that they've received. So
Oh.
campaign ribbons sometimes will match the thread designs on their routes.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
So there's a deeper meaning
Yeah,
to the
absolutely.
rod at
Ties,
that
yeah.
point. Yeah, that's very, very
Yeah.
interesting. And here's a close-up shot of wrapping that thread
Yeah.
around the eyelet. And
So
again,
you see we have a thread band right at the end, which kind of really ties in that rod.
Gotcha, gotcha. And then after we're done building the rods, the next thing we want to do is we want to get out there and see what this rod performs like. So
Yep.
you have members, as you said, that have never touched anything with fly fishing at all.
And this is the gentleman here who had never cast before that day. So we took him out back and we're teaching him. You got to imagine you're either answering the phone like hello, goodbye, hello, goodbye, and then you got to stop, the hard stops. So stop, like you're hammering a nail in the wall.
Right.
So you kind of get him whatever he's kind of used to, whatever he thinks he will think, will click in his mind. And they'll get it. They get it. Before long, it sinks in.
It
and,
does sink.
yeah.
It does take a trick because there's
Yeah.
the wrist motion, there's a shoulder. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, you don't want to just collapse.
Yeah.
You know, and then it's an interesting
Yeah.
dynamic fly
Yeah.
fishing for sure. And here's a gentleman as well trying to not
Yeah.
only cast the line but also pulling line off
Yeah.
the reel, which is another trick in itself,
So you
right?
see a bunch of stuff there, but we got Mr. O'Tady work, and he's casting really well now. He's casting really well.
Very
And he's actually building a rod there.
He's building a rod.
He's in our rod building session.
All right. Then after that, you also have outings, and this is one of the places
This
you
is
go.
a beautiful Freedom Ranch in Montana, and we've got a group up there now. We've got two gentlemen in our program that are attending the session now at Freedom Ranch, and I'm taking a group up there in September. I'm leading a group of 8 gentlemen in September.
So
I'll do
how does a
program with them.
veteran get involved with going on an outing with you all or a retreat to one of these ranches?
So, become an active member in Project Healing Waters, attend sessions regularly, let your program lead know, hey, I'm interested in attending one of these sessions.
Right.
And then your program lead will nominate you. But you've got to become an active member. You've got to attend sessions on a regular
Gotcha. And so becoming a member, first of all, will be contacting you. We'll get to the contact information
Yeah.
first. And then the regular sessions, fly tying, rod building, just being there for your fellow man. And you also not only go to Montana, but you do streams even locally.
We do local events, yeah.
Yeah.
We do local events. We fish the Shenandoah Valley often. We go, again, we meet every first Wednesday of the month for our fly tying, rod building and all that stuff.
Right.
The third Wednesday of the month is our outing sessions. We do the casting. We do fishing here at Dory Park
Okay.
or Shields Lake. Once they start stocking, they'll start stocking here in October.
Right.
October through April, they stock it with trout. So we start taking the veterans there. But Shenandoah Valley, we go out there on the third Wednesdays of the month as well.
Gotcha.
So sign up with the program. We're a very active program,
Right.
and we want to take veterans fishing.
That's what it's about, to get them out of, as we said earlier, that isolation,
Yeah.
to get them out and about. Here are 3 members, and I believe you said that one of these members is a colonel as well?
Yeah, it's former Colonel. Colonel P. and I served together at the 7th Transportation Brigade here in Virginia, here on Fort Eustis. And we had the opportunity to go to Freedom Ranch together, so on an outing. So it was very, very fun.
There are different waters and ranches that Project Healing Waters, the national organization, has access to, and that's what you can then tie into.
Yes. This is Freedom Ranch, and the new one that they have now is Oak Heart Lodge in Michigan. So that's the 2 of them that they're going to nowadays.
And this shot here is
This is Pioneer River here in Virginia,
Okay.
which is a nice river. It's the stocked river that they stock, which is pretty close to us.
All right, so now we get on a stream.
Yeah.
But there's a little bit more than just stepping on the stream.
Yeah.
I put this picture in. I think this is a really good thing because as a fly angler, you have to know, as we said earlier, what's hatching. You've got to be able to not just read the stream, but read the insects. So
Yeah, there's just so much to fly fishing. Fly fishing is so fascinating. So this is etymology. This is a caddis larva. So you turn the rocks over, you see a rock like this, you know your stream is healthy. This is caddis. So you see this, you're going to put a caddis fly on. You're going to know that there's caddis in this lake or this stream. So you'll put a caddis fly on, you'll put a caddis larva on, and you're going to be successful.
And hopefully
be successful.
Right. We don't want
It's
to put
fishing. It's
that's
fishing.
right. It is fishing. It's not called casting. And this I think is really important because just like in the fly tying, you have the instructors walking around. Once you step on a stream, it's one-on-one instruction.
It's always one-on-one. We always have a guide with a participant. So here you have the guide just behind the participant, always within arm's reach. In Project Healing Waters, we don't touch our participants unless the participant's in trouble. But here the guide is helping the participant. He's at least guide him, tell him where to cast if he needs it. But he's also here. He's teaching him how to mend, and which is a very important task. Roll the line over.
Right.
So keep your fly in the right area is what he's teaching there on this stream here.
And again, just a different shot.
Oh, yeah, different shot.
You can see, even in this picture, you're looking at the water where they're standing. It's certainly very shallow, but you can see as you look in the back toward the rocks there, you mentioned the foam. You're starting to see some of that white little foam. That's where the fish are going to kind of hang out. You want to keep it in there as long as possible. And that's the mending to allow the fly to stay with the current versus pulling against the current.
Yeah, and we always teach foam is home because that's where the fish, that's the conveyor belt of food, but it's also a place that the fish can hide because the birds that are flying above, they can't see the fish under that foam line. Right. So it's also a place that the fish can hide.
Gotcha. This gentleman here, you had a story as we were going through these pictures.
And this gentleman here, so we have a contest going on in our program, and it's a way to get the guys motivated. It's called Tiger in the Park. About a year ago, 2 years ago, the DWR started stocking tiger trout in Dory Park and Shields Lake. And so we started a program called Tiger in the Park. So they catch a tiger trout, brown trout, brook trout, and the four trout. What's the fourth?
Is it rainbows?
The rainbow trout,
right.
yeah, the rainbow trout. So they catch all four trout, and they're going to win a tool caddy and tools. So he was trying to catch a brook trout. We took him on a brook trout stream. He was casting. So this is the first brook trout this guy ever caught. And he was so surprised at the fight this little fish gave him, first of all, but how difficult it was to catch the brook trout. And then how beautiful the brook trout was.
Yeah.
That was the other thing. But he just was so surprised at how difficult it was to catch this thing. But that was the very first brook trout this guy ever caught.
And it's a great catch. People might look at this and go, well, it's a small. They hide well. They only come out when they know it's a well-presented fly.
You can't splash your fly.
No. Yeah. It's gotta be perfect.
It took him a good hour to get that fly in the right way. And
and then watching it come up and sip the top, it's
he was really, really impressed with
for sure.
how difficult it was to catch that fly. And so learning that was a state fish and how many people come from other places to catch these fish.
Yep. And we have so many great streams and rivers just to the west. And like you said, you don't have to go to
We're very
Montana
fortunate.
or
We're very,
Michigan.
very fortunate to have these fish here.
To stay right here locally.
Yeah.
Guys getting ready to go out first thing in the morning there.
Yeah.
So you mentioned the Michigan, the new...
This is, Oakhart Lodge is one of our new rivers that we Project Healing Waters now has access to.
Right. And this is, again, a member, Keith Barron, who I've become friends with. Yeah. And that's a beautiful, beautiful brown. Yeah. This is an unbelievable fish.
And this is one of our guides. Guides don't fish when they are guiding. So taking a break from guiding, he was allowed to go ahead and cast one time.
Cast one time. That's the problem with being a guide. When you cast the one time, sometimes you might show off just a bit. But that is an amazing rainbow for sure. And then more shots.
More shots. This is Montana, Freedom Ranch. They have beautiful, all the fish at Freedom Ranch are wild trout. So that's incredible.
It's a different fight. It's a different.
It's a whole different thing. It's just a whole different way to fish. And
for sure. Gorgeous fish here.
Gorgeous fish. Gentlemen there had never fished before, never cast a rod, never tied knots and stuff. So
really?
A lot of work that day.
Yeah, I mean.
Very rewarding. I mean, look at the smile. The smile alone is rewarding.
For sure. So, I mean, I can't even imagine that. I mean, when I first learned to fly fish, I learned on a grassy field and threw for about 8 hours with an instructor before I could ever step on a stream. And this gentleman, you and your program, took him on a stream for the first day. And
well, we were on the grass that morning.
Okay.
Right. We were on the grass a little bit, but we didn't stay on the grass long because it was a beautiful morning.
Yeah.
It was a beautiful morning.
And to get out there, I mean, you know, and to be able to present the fly correctly, to get a fish like that to react, that's really well done. And more one-on-one instruction here.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, just
and that's a beautiful place. Riverbound is a beautiful place.
Okay, and where is that?
That's in Lebanon, Virginia.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, western.
About 6 hours from here.
Yeah, yeah, almost toward the Tennessee line.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's a good drive for sure.
It's a good drive. It's a day's drive.
Are some of your drives or some of your outings overnight?
Yeah, this is definitely an overnighter.
Okay,
this is a 2 day trip.
Now this, I mean, for those that don't know, this is a golden trout. This is a trophy fish. Again, everything we do is catch and release.
All catch and release.
But I mean, these golden trout, first of all, rare. But the fact that you can see it, then I mean, how long did this gentleman sit here and work?
He worked on this one for a couple of hours. He saw it. He worked on it. Him and his guide were after it for a while. But because it's a very, very spooky fish. It hides from everything because everything's after it. Everything is after it.
Because it can be seen so easily.
Yeah,
I mean, you know, our eyes are okay, but birds' eyes, hawks and eagles and et cetera,
everything's
they
after
can
it.
see much better than we can.
And so here's a golden trout caught by a golden retriever. The fly there is called a golden retriever. So imagine that.
It's just, golden for gold. That really looks fantastic. More shots here, again, of anglers. The smiles is what gets me. I think
that's what's so rewarding. Watching the anglers come out and the veterans come out, and it just smiles. It just melts away so many years of being isolated.
Yeah.
You know? It just, and that's healing. And that's healing.
For members that have been in your program for a year, 2 years, 5 years, what do they say to you now? Are they just grateful that they found the program, an outlet to be able to?
Absolutely. I mean, it's often the guys come up to me and tell me, "Hey, thank you for having this program. You know, you got to keep this up. This is God sent." Often. Still today, I mean, guys are telling us, "Hey, this program is incredible."
And you said you've been part of this program since 2017. Was it around before you, or did you help to start this?
The program started in 2005.
Okay.
By retired Navy Captain Mr. Ed Nicholson. He was retiring himself. He was going through retirement physical on the way out in Maryland.
Gotcha.
And he saw some guys sitting out there in the grass, waiting. Retirement physicals, the medical process, it's not quick.
No, for sure.
You do one appointment, you got to wait a couple of days or a couple of hours for your next appointment. So he saw guys sitting out there waiting for their appointments. And he asked permission, "Hey, can I take those guys fishing?" And so that was kind of the nexus of the program.
Gotcha.
So they said, "Yeah, take them fishing if you like," because he liked to go fishing.
Right.
So that's how it started.
And that bond built and it formed into a wonderful organization.
So in 2007 is when it kind of originally got formalized.
Gotcha.
And from there, we grew. So we're now in 48 of the 50 states and 183 programs. So we're big.
You are big. And
We're
that's great because you're helping so many more veterans out. And we need to find ways to help you all out.
Yeah.
Besides.
And me being here today, hope he gets the word out.
Well, that was my plan. Beside the
thank
fact,
you very much.
No, I believe in the program. You were super nice to have me out a couple of years ago, and I've wanted to be able to somehow reciprocate that. So, and I think this is a great outlet for veterans to be able to enjoy other veterans. So, real quick, we'll continue on here. Learning to tie knots is always very important.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because I tell the guys, can't tie a knot, tie a lot. That doesn't really fly in fly fishing because it's going to slip and go, and you're going to lose that beautiful fish that you have online.
And then you won't have the smile at
You
the end.
will not have that smile.
You're going to remember that fish that another great shot here.
Yeah.
Again, this is in Michigan.
And the fish are so colorful and so beautiful.
Yes. And then don't forget, we've seen trout, and we've talked about that, but panfish on the fly. There are so many lakes and streams.
The challenge is so beautiful. The challenge is so nice.
Yeah. So it makes it kind of fun. And finally, smallmouth bass. You mentioned earlier, you're one of the initial pictures. You had just done some cicada tying flies.
Yeah.
And right now, bass are eating
They
cicadas.
are tearing them up. Yeah.
For sure.
My guys are having fun with them right now.
Well, that's what it's about,
Yeah.
right? I mean, if you can't go out, spend a couple hours, have a lot of laughs, relieve the stress of the daily life.
That's what it's about. That's what it's about. You come sit around the table, you're talking to other veterans. The veterans have their own language. It's broadcasters have their language, doctors have their language, veterans have their own language. They sit there, they're tying flies, their Army's talking to the Marines about something, but inside the room, they're ragging on each other. When they go fishing, it's one program. And they're having fun.
And
they're having fun.
That's what it's about. Tony, I want to bring up some information so people can, of course, get in touch with you. If you'd like to get in touch with Tony and become a member, maybe just attend a session, see what Project Healing Waters is about. If you are a veteran of the Army, Marines, Navy, Air Force, you're a reservist, you want to be part of this, contact Tony. His email is tony.escalona@projecthealingwaters.org. As I said, he has fly tying sessions every first Wednesday of the month. On the third Wednesday, they do an outing, but you've got to become a member first to be part of that. They do rod building, knot tying. You have to have zero experience in the fly tying world. But what you have to have experience is the ability to want to enjoy your time with your fellow service member. So it's just an easy thing to do.
Absolutely.
So, Tony, I want to thank you so much for joining us today for Off the Hook with Matty D. I believe in your program. I think you're doing wonderful things. This is just a small tip of the iceberg. I would love to have you back, maybe as we get into fall or winter, to kind of further our discussion on Project Healing Waters.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you very much for having us.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for joining us for another episode of Off the Hook with Matty D.